Sorry, I was late. My son wasn't able to get in where he had to go. And
Oh my.
well, my son had hitting lessons. We got the change. The valve is locked and broke. So anyway, for Ryan Decker come up there.
Now the worst they can do is yell at you.
Like, well, if he can, I'm going to let him do the leave and come up with me and sit up there.
I chose a great time to get on this board.
Yeah, you did.
Is there more chairs to get out for him?
Three up front. Five up front.
I was hoping to go back to work when this is over. Mine, I gotta go back to the farm.
You get to play with cows.
They're less likely to be called on.
Call me. I might not know the answer, but I know.
All right, I'd like to vote to come out of closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First, the approval of the agenda.
So there is one change to the agenda that went on Friday. Oh, sorry. And that was the addition of a second reason for going into closed session, and that was for the purpose of discussing matters relating to collective bargaining. Other than that, the agenda is as presented.
All right. Need a motion to accept the agenda with the addition.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I believe on page 39, there's a typo in the headers of that table. They all say through 2021, and I think they should be through the following year. Page 38, 39 of the PDF. It is
The
5-year fund comparison.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good catch.
I'll make the change.
Other than that, I say I'm good at with that as noted.
All right. You see it?
Am I looking at-
The 17 through 18, 18 through 19.
Oh, yep, I got you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens when you cut and paste?
Figured that.
All right, I'll make that change. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, noting that change, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of the previous minutes.
Motion is that the Board of Education approves the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting from September 20th, 2021.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion to accept that. Dustin
Second.
made a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? All right, the next one.
Motion is that the Board of Education approves the minutes of the special Board of Education meeting from October 11th, 2021.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on October 11th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda. The district bills, building activity reports, and non-certified personnel recommendations. And 2 resignations. All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion? Looks like we're basically hiring the wrestling coach staff for coach for Southwest and some other parapros. And 1 basketball volunteer.
Do we have,
All right,
do we have first and second? Still,
do a roll.
do we have a first and a
Oh,
second?
we did,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
We do.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carried. Next, communication, public comments. Did you have the, want me to read these?
So, obviously, there's a lot of people here tonight. Several of you have signed up to speak. On Friday of last week, a document went out outlining the procedures for the board meeting. The board has asked that I discuss those or I inform you of some of those before we get into the public section or public comment section. So, just as a reminder that comments should be directed to the board as a whole, should not be directed at any specific staff member, any board member, any student, anyone of that nature. The board may not address your comments at the time of the board meeting. Please remember, this is a business meeting that is conducted in private. This is not a time for discussion. This is a time for you to give your input and your comments. The board will certainly take everything you say into consideration as it moves forward on any item that is discussed. Comment should be limited to 3 minutes. The board has the right to stop a speaker for clarification purposes. All citizens that are seeking answers pertaining to the school, we ask that you please go to the school administration for those. And if you are not satisfied with those answers, then by all means bring those concerns or those questions to the board. At this time, we will recognize you individually. We ask that you state your name and the topic that you will be discussing. I am going to go down the list with people that notified me first. Prior to the meeting, I'm going to start with them, and then I'm just going to go right through here. Mrs. Lindsay, you reached out to me this afternoon. Hold on 1 second. I will raise my hand when you get to 1 minute. All right, you may begin.
Good evening, I'm Sally Lindsay, and I'm here to discuss our transgender population. I come here tonight not to support a side to any given issue, but to advocate for a special student population, our transgender students. I am in my 16th year working for this school district. During those years, I've had the privilege of observing high school students, their likes, their dislikes, what is cool and what's not, etc. I am extremely proud to be able to say that our student body has been so accepting of our transgender population. I have never heard a student say one negative thing about a trans student, nor have any of the teachers or the counselor when I ask them. I come here tonight to ask that as you express your personal concerns, that you remember, we all remember, these are still children that we are talking about. It is a group that has more social and emotional issues than any other high school students. They just want to be accepted for who they are, just as your child does. Please, may your words tonight show kindness and respect. As I have already stated, our students are very open and accepting of our trans students in school. Please remember as you sit in your living rooms and kitchens at home that your words are heard by others. Your words matter and they have consequences. Lastly, I ask that you not allow your storm to rain on your children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You want to go? Megan, you want to go now? Okay. You had contacted me earlier. I apologize for that. Okay. I apologize if I am unclear with some of these names, but I'm just going to say Reverend Luke.
There we go.
Okay. Just give me 1 second and
Sit or stand?
you can stand or sit, whatever you prefer. Okay.
I'm representing actually the Morrison Ministerial Council in reference to really the lack of space you have or the lack of changing opportunities for students within the locker rooms. We'd like to submit a letter to you that very simply states two things. One is that every student should have the right to privacy as they change within the locker rooms. And the second one is, as a school, you continue to work hard on the bullying aspect, and that every student within the school should be protected and looked over when it comes to that issue. We are, as a ministerial council, willing to help you with solutions if you need that help. And as churches, we've talked about, what we possibly can do for you. And then finally, we know you have a tough job. And as pastors, we want you to know, not only as pastors, but as churches, we continue to pray for you and the work that you do with the school district.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll take it. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Charlie?
Okay. So that's the last thing anyone else can talk about, but I think the parking lot ought to be striped different. When you come in at the junior high at pickup or drop off, if you come in at the junior high and you turn right and you go around that loop, there's turn lanes for which way you're going to go. If you go around by south side, there are none, and everyone's pulled over on the right, and you can't always tell who's pulled over to drop off a kid or pulling forward, and they're all in the same lane. If you pull onto the left to turn left, people will turn left from the right of you in front of you. And everyone who wants to turn left to go to 78 has to, or everyone who wants to turn right and couldn't do it to go to academic or to go to Genesee has to wait for the people turning left. And it's just some yellow paint, some arrows. And I think it would make everything easier. And I know that's why everyone was looking forward to me speaking tonight.
Thank you very much. Angie?
Hi, Angie Vanderven. I'm a 1989 graduate of Morrison High School. My husband graduated in 88. And mainly, I just wanted to come and say that, the last couple of years have been hard for everybody, the administration, the teachers, the students, the parents, and I think everybody's on edge. And I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work that you've done. I know there are a lot of issues out there that everybody's very passionate about, including myself. And I think right now we really have to remember that while we may have cultural or political or religious differences, we can agree to disagree philosophically and still be nice to each other. And that at the end of the day, my child's rights do not trump your child's rights, and their rights do not trump my child's rights. And so instead of us always maybe taking a side and, I guess just standing firm and not being open to things, that we need to find a way more than ever for us to find a common ground and a common solution to some of these concerns, given this is a public school. And we need everybody's rights respected and protected. And I guess I just wanted to come here and say that as a mom of a senior here. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Megan, you're up.
Good evening, board members. My name is Megan Druin, and I have lived here almost my entire life. I'm here today to simply speak for the kids and the parents who are afraid to speak out about the current locker room privacy concerns. I want to ask for privacy for all people you serve to speak out, voice their concerns, and to ask people who are bullying to stop, and let's try to fix the issues. First, I wanted to ask how we can fix the communication from the school board and how we can make the answers to questions asked more public. I would also like to know why the meeting minutes are essentially hidden in the previous month's agenda and not on the actual minutes link. The minutes link is blank. Posting them where they belong in order would make things much easier to find. Maybe each month before the meeting, the board could post a link to the agenda in an easier to find location like on the district's Facebook page. So then the parents know if they should attend or not to let their voices and opinions be heard because after all, they are the taxpayers supporting this district. Posting answers publicly may help the community and parents feel more connected to the school board and the decisions being made about their kids' education, along with making the meeting minutes easier to find. It may also help the parents feel like their concerns are being validated. I'm here speaking to you today to ask for some changes. During last month's meeting, myself and now thousands of others were made aware of some privacy concerns in the locker rooms in our schools. We have the option to put up partitions or walls, and we can use the CARES Act elementary and secondary emergency relief grant funds the Morrison District is receiving to modify the locker rooms. I found the figures on ISBE's website stating our district will receive $1,459,260 in ESSER funds. Is that the correct figure? I know you can't answer me right now. The U.S. Department of Education fact sheet for the American Rescue Act Plan of 2021 states ESSER funds can be used for repairing and improving school facilities to reduce the risk of virus transmission and exposure to environmental health hazards. Adding partitions could fulfill that requirement. Kids need the protection of their parents and this administration. All kids need to feel safe at school, and one side of this isn't more important than the other. Both sides are important, and both sides need to be heard and accommodated for. The bullying needs to stop, and maybe it would get better if both sides were made to feel their rights and concerns were actually being listened to and not being told to just deal with it. It's my understanding that a lot of kids and adults and the teachers are afraid to speak out because of retaliation from their classmates, other peers, or this board. I've gotten countless messages about this, and I've already received some not so nice comments for standing up for the kids who are asking for more private areas to change and shower. They do exist. This isn't a made-up concern, and this isn't a parent made-up concern as some may feel. But also at the same time, parents' concerns do matter, and parents do have a say in their child's education and safety. To the kids who would like more privacy, I'm begging you to talk to your teachers or your parents. To the parents, you need to bring this to the school principals. Your kids are scared to speak out. I've heard that loud and clear from many people. If you don't get any action or you feel like you weren't heard, please bring it to Mr. Vance. Can this board and the principals guarantee that no kids will be punished for bringing their concerns to you or the school counselors? Can we maybe put a policy in place that states once you are dressed for PE that you leave the locker room?
I have to stop you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Sorry. And Jennifer.
I'm going to finish what Megan said. Jennifer Vandermolen, just for the record. Can we maybe put a policy in place that states once you are dressed for PE that you leave the locker room? Maybe just eliminating the PE uniform mandate would also help alleviate a lot of problems until we can install more privacy stalls. It has been made apparent that the major problem with people making their voices heard. Title IX actually requires schools to have and publish their Title IX guidelines in the student handbook, and it states the school should have a Title IX counselor who does not have a conflict of interest. Maybe if there was a Title IX counselor, then more kids would feel safe expressing their concerns without worry of punishment for speaking about them. I personally felt driven to be the voice for everyone too worried or scared to find their voice because my child's safety is one of my top priorities. And I hope to help start more conversations from parents to the board. We are a small community that cares about its kids and their health and safety. No one's rights trumps another's rights. They are all equally important. I have created a poll online for kids and adults to be more anonymously voice their concerns and thoughts, and I do have results so far to share with the board. It has been made very clear that the kids all would like to have more privacy and feel like they are not being heard or they are hearing it is not okay to speak out. We have got to fix that. They are our children. I am willing to communicate with the board on those ongoing concerns and questions as we work together. I know our community would be happy to raise funds to help get this accomplished, and maybe even some construction workers would be willing to volunteer their time, similar to the concession food stand that was built by volunteers. Thank you for your time. Please make your answers to my questions public and stop what feels like secrecy to us parents. If I have any time left.
Got a minute.
Okay. I would like to read some of the responses. Okay, this is a girl at the high school. I have been sexually abused. The school doesn't care about my privacy. Going to school makes me feel sick and I hate it. I hate gym class. Forcing me to change in front of a boy is hell on earth. Hell on earth. The law is bullshit. I have a right to privacy and my school doesn't care at all. I would never ask for help. It's humiliating and I would make they would make me answer questions. I can't deal with the questions. I am barely surviving. How can the school force me to change my clothes in front of a boy and not care about what it's doing to me? This is from a junior high student. First time I walked into our locker room and I saw there was a physical boy in there, I wanted to turn around and leave, but knew I would get into trouble for missing my class. I've been changing in the stalls because I don't want a boy to see me. My parents told me that if I was uncomfortable to say something, but a lot of us are afraid to say anything, so we keep our heads down and ignore our feelings of being uncomfortable because we all know we will get in trouble. It isn't fair for us girls to have to feel like this every day at school. We deserve to have privacy and respect too. Stalls would be helpful because then there are options for us, but it doesn't take away the feeling of us girls aren't getting the respect we need in the locker room.
I'm gonna have to cut you off. Thank you all for your comments. We're past that. I'm sorry. Your time's up. I can't go back and let you.
get the rest of my 3 minutes.
No, I'm sorry. All right, we need to move on. Good news from around the district. Start with Mr. Harridge, please.
I just wanted to, it's October and every Friday at Northside School is a really big day because it's Monster Mash all day long. Anyone here with young students knows I hear parents say they talk about it all the way to school. It's a big deal all day. So I just wanted to give Mr. Chappell his due because he decorates the gym with inflatable Halloween decorations. He projects things onto the wall, and I've gone in and watched it, and he's described it to me as a really complex game of tag is basically what it is. But the young kids are all about it and have a blast. And I just wanted to give him his due for all the effort he has put into not just Monster Mash, but all the games he comes up with. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cassie.
I don't really have any additional things to add to what was already placed, but I did want to mention it was very nice to be able to have an indoor recess, which we have never really had at Southside because of the fact that we have to be indoors typically, as well as the gym being occupied over those recess periods. So being able to hold a few four-square games and letting the kids participate rather than being in their classrooms is much benefit to that type of waiting game.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins?
Just like to add one thing. This Friday, we're going to be kind of recognizing our kids that did well academically in this first quarter. Last year, a few teachers and myself purchased, we spent $100 together. We collected some money and we got 3,000 cans of silly string that we thought we were going to be using for something else, but COVID kind of got in the way of it. So we're going to be doing a kind of a silly string war Saturday out in the grass area, or excuse me, Friday out in the grass area for all those kids. Kind of just a fun time for them to do that, and it helps us get rid of, I think, about 2,700 cans of silly string left at this point. So we're going to do that. So all those kids that are listening to the board meeting, which I'm sure they are, hopefully they're going to be pretty excited about that. So it's
Have
going to be a fun
you
time.
discussed any of this with Danelle or John or anyone? who's gonna
Luckily,
be-
all biodegradable stuff. It'll
Okay.
just
All right.
wash away. Yep. So it should be okay. So, but
How
if
about
not,
the,
maybe
how
we'll
about the
make-
parents
maybe
who
we'll
have to
make
deal with
detention
that
kids
coming
go out there
home
and clean
covered
up
in
or
silly
something.
string? Have you talked about that yet? Mr. Bielma?
Well, one tiny thing to add, previously reported about the landscaping situation that's happening in the school that's been done. You've seen the mess out there. Our natural resource class is starting to dig and plant and put that together. So fingers crossed that that comes to fruition and things start looking good around the Morrison High School front lawn.
Thank you, the principals. And again, thank you for all your hard work. It's been a very difficult time for you as well.
Okay, the report, start with finance facility report.
Finance facility reports are in your board packet. You can take a look at those. I will make the change that was pointed out. Again, I apologize for copying and pasting. I will fix those errors.
Pretty straightforward. Just make sure.
I'm doing it a little differently. I mean, I think those are easier, the parts that I'm giving are easier to read.
Yeah, they are.
They were
Yeah.
the scans, so if you don't like that, I can go back to the other way, but
No, but that looks like the old way we used to do it. Doesn't it? Does it
Yeah.
look like the old way? we
The
used to?
spreadsheet or like the graph is
Yeah.
much easier to read,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, the next then is the enrollment.
So good news, we are up 32 kids from this time last year. We have an enrollment of 976 kids. As of September 30th this year, we were at 944 last year, so.
Is this attributed to people moving in or just coming back from?
These are new
remote?
students. These are not
Okay.
remote students returning. These are new bodies to the building,
Okay.
or bodies to the district.
No, that's okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then technology, anything?
Mr. Schaefer, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, anybody watching the stream, anybody here, if you have junior high students, please tell them to stop breaking Chromebook screens. We're seeing a pretty large increase this year of screen breakages. Now that could be in part due to some age factor on the Chromebooks, but also carrying them around a little bit more this year than they did last year. So that's kind of become a problem this year, but we're scavenging as much as we can and dealing with it. But yeah, if you could help us out, I'd appreciate it. And then one thing that wasn't on the agenda, after speaking with Mr. Bielema last week, he talked about me possibly offering a quick tutorial on family access area in Skyward during the parent teacher conference night on Thursday. So I will be offering two different sessions, one at 3 o'clock and one at 4 o'clock for any parent interested in learning a little bit more about navigating the family access in Skyward. Not only will I be doing that live in person for anyone who's attending conferences, but I also will be live streaming and recording the sessions, and I can share those out later. More information will come as that gets a little bit closer. I haven't generated the YouTube links or anything like that yet, but so that's for any parent open and willing, needing some additional help on how to navigate the Skyward platform. So any questions about that, feel free to direct them to me. But thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Okay, old business, the consolidated district plan.
Motion is that the Board of Education approves the FY22 Consolidated District Plan as presented.
Do we have a motion? Second?
So if you remember, we do this every year. It is basically a plan as to how we will, it's a plan, it's an agreement that we will not spend dollars illegally. We will spend them for the manner they're used for. We have to turn this in before we can apply for our title grants or anything like that. So it's a formality.
Okay. um,
Just
All
take a
in
roll,
favor?
yeah.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, new business. Morrison Junior High extracurricular activities for homeschool students.
Currently, per IHSA requirements, any high school student that is homeschooled has to be enrolled at Morrison High School in person 50% of the time to qualify to play for IHSA. The IESA does not have any such policy. We have a request from a homeschool student to participate this year. Before I granted them approval or disapproval, I wanted the input from the board. This is different than our back to school or back to learning plan. If you remember when we, way back when in August, the plan was if you are a remote student, we were not going to allow you to participate in extracurriculars. This is different. This is a homeschooled student. Mr. Robbins is here if you have any questions specifically concerned or about that, but I wanted board input before you made a final decision, or I made a final decision, I should say.
The only thing that I would say, as long as it's not taken away from any of the students that are in the building. Because I would imagine some activities are limited, maybe space, I don't know, I don't need to know that. But as long as it doesn't take away from our students in the building, I don't see why we shouldn't allow it.
How is,
Okay.
remind me, how is it funded in terms of extracurriculars? Like,
They would still pay our extracurricular fee, which is part of how we fund it. Obviously, we use other sources, local sources, state sources, general state aid, property tax, all of that goes into the
and
general
that's all based
fund.
on our enrollment. So if we're
Some of
not
it,
getting-
some of it is.
if we're not getting that enrollment number, some of that's not allocated in that direction. So I'm not saying I'm against it, it's just something I want to think about in terms of the funding side, make sure that everybody's taking care of their fair share.
And I assume the child's parents is paying taxes too. So I'm just going to say that.
Would you rather take formal action next month? Okay. Anybody else have any comment? Okay.
Next, Morrison Community Unit District Staff Tuition Waiver.
I've been approached by several staff members over the years about the possibility of staff members bringing their children from out of district to attend Morrison schools. The process is pretty straightforward. There's a waiver that we have to apply for. You would have to have a public hearing in which the public could come and obviously make comments on that. But in of itself, it's a pretty straightforward process, as I mentioned. The downside is those students are essentially coming for free because they live out of the district. We are not getting any tax dollars from them, but it is a small number. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to affect us financially. Several districts in our area do it. They would count as our enrollment, so we would recoup some money from the enrollment increase or bump there. But if there is no concern or hesitancy from the board, I would move forward with that process.
Well, I imagine it's a pretty small number at this point.
I would,
If
it would be less than 10 kids, I think, that would want to come. But I have been approached by staff members who live outside the district, staff members who may be relocating outside the district, new staff members that have come and would like to bring their kids when they reach school age. Since enough people have asked, I think it's time that we begin that discussion. All right, I will proceed then.
All right. Fee fund refund request.
Motion is that the Board of Education approves the fee refund request of student number 717572880 as presented.
So moved. Oops, sorry.
That's fine. We have a motion, that's fine. That's fine. Do I have a- You move. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. This is the student we discussed.
Transfer, yes.
All right, it involves money, so roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, fiscal year 22 grant application.
Better do these individually.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to do it individually. There's three, a Title I, Title II, Title IV grant, and two other grants, ag education and what, I'm not sure what those three say.
It's a compensation for FFA, and extra time.
Okay. Yeah, does anybody have a reason to break these individually? All right, I'll need a motion then for all these grants, these five grants.
Let me read them first.
Huh?
Let me read them first. You need to read them.
Oh, you want to read
For
them
public
all?
record.
Okay.
The motion is the Board of Education approves the FY 22 Title I grant as presented, the FY 22 title grant as presented, the FY 22 Title IV grant as presented, the Three Circles grant as presented, and the Agricultural Education Incentive Grant as presented.
I need a motion.
Second.
All right.
Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, any further questions? They're all on here. Let's do a roll call on this too.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, memorial policy.
Over my 20 years here at Morrison, 22 years, sorry, I have unfortunately been witness to the loss of 7 students and 1 staff member. We are seeing tragic events that take place. Unfortunately, when we have a tragedy such as this, sometimes confusion and misinterpretation and miscommunication takes place. And so Mr. Bielma thought it would be appropriate to have a memorial policy in place to refer to in the unfortunate event that we do have a staff member or a student who passes away. This is to address some of the concerns, as well as to give those grieving families an opportunity to look at something and know what their options are in terms of a memorial, whether it be a scholarship, whether it be something in the yearbook. But that policy is in there for you to take a look at and offer comments, things you'd like to see changed before we move forward and formally adopt this. And Mr. Bielma's obviously here if you have any
I think it's a real good idea.
questions to him. We don't want to step on anybody's toes, and it's very difficult sometimes to have those conversations when obviously that's the worst days of families' lives at times.
Do we have a crisis response team in the district?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Actually, I'll have our crisis response team meeting coming up here in the next couple weeks. Any comments? You
No,
have
nobody,
something you'd
no.
rather,
Good.
something pops up later, please feel free to email me and I
Yeah,
can.
I will. I've got some. Because we've run into this before. When I first got on the board, there were some, and it's kind of died down the questions about it. So it's great that we revisit this. All right, and then we have non-certified staff dismissal.
The first motion is the Board of Education approves the dismissal of employee NS 1885 for cause.
The motion. All right, we're going to do a roll call on each one.
Yes.
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 Second motion is the Board of Education approves the dismissal of employee NS 1900 for cause.
So moved.
Another roll call.
Yes.
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 And finally, the certified staffing action item.
Motion is that the Board of Education approves the hiring of Ann Brackemeyer as a certified kindergarten teacher at Northside Elementary School at the bachelor's your one step.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion carries. Does anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn then.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.